Hey everybody, still October the 4th, Saturday here in OKC. Finished up quite a bit of things today. I got the plastic wrapped around our paint booth. I'll show you the finishing touches on that when the fans get in and I put that filter material in place. Also got the rest of that inventory taken care of. Got the laser cut part issues rectified with our replacement parts. Got all the blue vinyl off of those pieces so that we're not dealing with future corrosion problems. And identified the pieces that have corrosion or have discoloring that either need to be replaced or treated, cleaned somehow to get that markings from the vinyl off of. I want to go grab a few of the pieces that I selected for replacement to show you guys. So here's the bucket of parts that I have for replacement. If you're not familiar with aluminum doesn't rust, it corrodes, right? And so you'll see a lot of this white type of surface discoloration or material on there, and it'll come off in a little like a powdery form. That's due to the oxidation and how aluminum reacts to moisture and things of that nature. And so you got to be very careful of this. These parts are made out of 2024 aluminum, which is an aluminum alloy that is clad, it's 2024 clad. So it has a layer of pure aluminum on each side. This keeps the part light while also making it strong. And if you get corrosion in there on that pure aluminum side, any kind of aggressive Scotch-Briting or mechanical tools can cut through that pure aluminum coating and get down to your clad material, which is going to cause future corrosion problems and weakens your part. So if you have anything more than just some very slight corrosion, you're probably going to want to look at replacing those parts, as I'm going to do with these. So I've got a few of these parts here that came, again, I told you guys I bought this kit used, so there are some parts in here that need to be replaced, and I'll call up Vans and put in an order. I've got like maybe, I don't know, 5 parts in here, and we'll get those back on track so we can get moving forward in the build process. I also have my friend David here with me today. He's been helping me out with the inventory, and now that we're through all that, we're going to look at this vertical stabilizer. I don't know why I always confuse those two. I bought this kit used, as we've talked about before in previous videos, and the person that I bought it from built this piece and then decided that he was not going to continue on with his build for whatever reason and put it all up for sale for a price that I just couldn't say no to. So I ended up with this, and this was this person's second kit. So they weren't learning on this piece. They had their experience and their learning opportunities on I think it was an RV-6 aircraft, and then decided to change directions and went with the 8, and then decided to change directions again. So I wanted to take a good look at this. From the outside, it looks pretty good. You guys will see here in a minute, and we'll get some reflection from the light, so it might be kind of hard to see. The skin looks pretty good. The rivets from the outside look really good. The spars and the ribs, everything looks all right. There are some markings, of course, and that happens from your flush set rivet. So you've got that big round rivet head when you're putting these countersunk rivets in that leaves a little bit of marring on the material. Not a big deal. There are no significant scratches or gouges or dents. So that's what I'm really looking for. If you have not had the experience in looking at aircraft parts, you may want to very well consider what you're getting yourself into if you're looking at buying a used kit. Now, they're all over the internet, and if you're part of the private Vans marketplace group on Facebook, you'll see people selling kits all the time that they start this adventure and they don't finish it, and you can get some really spectacular deals when buying a kit that's partially finished. However, if you're going to do that, you need to be well versed in part inspection and aluminum and aircraft parts, or you need to take somebody along with you that can do that. Myself, if I didn't mention previously, I started off my aviation career as an A&P mechanic, and I did that for a few years, and I've worked on everything from Cessna 152s to 747s, and I've done part inspections. I helped Gary build his composite airplane, so I spent 2 weeks in a hangar in Washington where I did fiberglass layup work building one of his wings, reinforcing the ribs and all kinds of wet layup work with composites. I also helped him rebuild a portion of his rotorway helicopter. So if you guys are familiar with those rotorway helicopters, they had a drive shaft. They have a engine that sits, vertical in there, and a set of belts run a secondary drive shaft. And he re-engineered that whole thing and put a bigger, better drive shaft system in there, and I helped him do a lot of that. So all that to say, I'm pretty well versed when it comes to aircraft part inspection and aircraft inspection. It was part of my job, and I've done that personally on a number of different aircraft. So I feel comfortable with looking at this myself. one of the tools that I bought, and I saw this on T-Flight's build videos, right? So Tim had this bore scope that he bought. I bought one similar. I know that Hippie Pilot has one that I think connects to his phone, which is also a good option. But when you're trying to inspect a part such as this, this vertical stabilizer, you really want to get into the backside of the rivets and take a look at them to see if they were squeezed, or in this case bucked enough, but then again not too much, right? So you're looking for those shop side heads that end where the bucking bar goes on, to make sure that that area is at least 1.5 D, right? So when you put the rivet in, before we buck the rivet, we're looking at an exposed length past the material of 1.5 times the diameter of the rivet. That's how much should be protruding past your base metal. Once you buck that rivet, the width of that should be 1.5 D, no less than 1.5 D. So I've got David here to help. He's gonna come over here and run this bore scope. We're gonna go in here and take a look and see if we can't get you guys a picture of some of the rivet heads in there and show you exactly what we're talking about. So that's actually a perfect shot. Back up a little bit, David. And can you go up just a perfect right there. So I'm not sure how well this is gonna come across the camera, but you can see that these rivet heads look really good. They look to be at least 1.5 D. Everything looks nice. There doesn't seem to be any big nicks, damage, nowhere where the rivet gun or the bucking bar got out of control and put any damages, dents or anything in there. And that would be evident too by looking at the exterior skin and the spar and the ribs itself. So everything in here looks really good. The other thing that gave me a little bit of a vote of confidence is when I bought the part kit from him, he also had the rivet gauges, and I'll go grab those here in just a second to show you how those things work and what they're for, but that gives you a tool to measure 1.5 D in height on all those things for rivets. Okay, so here are a couple of rivet gauges, and they are marked -3 for the diameter of the rivet that you're using, and you'll see this little bridge area right here, and I'll try to turn this around to lock the table. Yep. So here's a finished sized head of the rivet, and David, if you could bring the camera in just a little bit close to see if we can get a better look at that. And what we want to do is take this tool and run it over the rivet head. All right, and so this one is probably not quite enough if we're looking closely, right? Those things are not quite there. Those are on the outside, and those are areas where I can either squeeze those a little bit more if necessary, or drill them out and redo them. Everything over here seems really, really good and within the range, so I'm not concerned there. So if you see these kits, you buy them, and they come with a -3, -4, -5, and -6 rivet width that you're looking for, and then this gauge is for your rivets before you buck them. So you can put this on there and line it up with a -3 and make sure that you have enough of that 1.5 diameter length protruding through your part before you go and finish the rivet. Okay, so that's really about all there is for the inspection that we're gonna film now. There are some things that I wanna look at. I've noticed on this part that there are a couple of rivets missing, and same holes on both sides. So I have not read the assembly instructions for this yet. I don't know if those were intentionally left empty. It kind of feels like they were, because they're, like I said, they're the same on both sides. So that might be where cowling or fairing, fairing bolts in there or screws in. So I need to go take a look at that. Probably gonna go through these rivet gauges and check a bunch of these rivets to make sure that they are good. And I'll read through the instructions of the assembly process on here and see if there isn't something that I noticed that was misplaced or missing or errant in any way, shape, or form. So that's about all there is for now. We're gonna keep working here in the garage, and we'll see you guys later. Hey guys, disembodied Jeff here, so apologies for my voice without seeing me, but I did want to make a minor correction and take a closer look at some of these rivet heads. So earlier I was showing you the rivet gauge, and I was holding a -3 rivet gauge when these rivets installed are actually a -4. So before I get skewered online for giving false information, wanted to make sure I was using the right tool. However, the same still kind of holds true, right? You can see that this is not filling that space, right? So we don't have 1.5 D for at least 1.5 D for our squeeze. So I'm going to probably take the rivet squeezer, get it set up for dash 4s, and see if I can't give those things a little bit extra, and then take the dash 3 around to some of these other ones just to kind of make sure that we're in the right zone. Yep. So as I look through a lot of these and I check them with this spacer. All right. Looks like those are a little proud, so I can go ahead, I think, and squeeze those once again. I'll check here on the other side. Now, the ones from the inside looked okay. It's hard to get a gauge in there to really see. So I don't know. I may take some of these pictures and get a second opinion on there, and then also double check exactly how you're supposed to use these rivet gauges. Honestly, I've never used these before. We always just kind of, when I was in school, you looked at it, you held a rivet next to it, you eyeballed it a little bit to make sure that you had adequate squeeze. So more to come on that as we figure out if that is acceptable riveting or not. One thing I'll also point out here, what I noticed is there's a pulled rivet here in the corner, right? So I think, I'm gonna make an assumption here that once this side, because I've heard that Hippie Pilot and Tim talk about this, getting one side of this skin riveted to this end cap, this end rib, is okay. Once you get one in place, it's really hard to get a bucking bar in there to fit to do that last rivet, and so putting a pulled rivet in there is sometimes the answer. So really, it's fine to do that. Is it cosmetically different? Yes. Do I want to drill it out just to fix that cosmetic thing? Quite frankly, I'm not sure yet, right? And this is going to be at the top of the vertical stab, and you know, it'll be painted over and everything, so I'll know it's there. Could you notice if you look real close? Yeah. Is it a big deal? No. So we'll decide if that has to come out and get bucked, or if we're going to leave it just the way it is.